Again the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and sheweth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then saith Jesus unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him.
Donald Trump announced 4 cabinet picks that stunned Washington, and the surprises keep coming. Trump is filling key positions at breakneck speed. He's taking a flood-the-zone approach, putting forward multiple candidates who in any normal universe would be considered unconfirmable. Trump is betting that Senate Republicans won't dare turn them all down. Whether he meant to do this or not, by putting forward so many candidates with scandals and controversies, Donald Trump is shifting the standard of what is considered acceptable in a cabinet nominee. One of Trump's most controversial picks, Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, had been under a years-long investigation by the House Ethics Committee into allegations that he engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. Trump told people privately that he thought Gaetz had a less than even chance of being confirmed by the Senate, but he put him forward anyway, deciding to test his new power with the incoming Senate. Gaetz has now withdrawn himself from consideration, but the controversy surrounding him has made other Trump picks look reasonable by comparison. This speaks volumes about Trump's mindset as he prepares to enter office for a second time. He's returning to Washington emboldened by his victory, more contemptuous than ever of Washington expertise, and more confident than he's ever been in his own instincts. Presidents don't normally approach their cabinet selections this way. They work with their teams to figure out what the system might bear. 8 years ago, when Trump prepared to take office for the first time, he mostly followed that risk-averse approach. He relied on advice from political leaders and Washington establishment figures to appoint people that he knew very little about. He did this with his first Secretary of State and his first Defense Secretary, and many others. Those relationships ended terribly. Many of Trump's first batch of senior officials have said critical things about him. Trump has told his advisors he's determined not to make that mistake again. This time around, he's hiring for one quality above all others: loyalty. For example, Pete Hegseth, a deeply controversial pick, was a Fox News host and military veteran who regularly praised Trump on television.
Thank God we live in Donald Trump's America today.
Even Trump's former rival, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has turned into an ally.
No matter what state you live in, you should be voting for Donald Trump.
And Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democrat who has railed against the national security establishment, became a Trump ally and even helped him in his debate prep against Kamala Harris.
Send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country.
Trump's picks are causing a furor in Washington.
Money has always ruled human lives, and in a way, it has been kind of a double-edged sword. We need it to live comfortably, but has also been a source of negative influence. The pursuit of wealth and power can lead to greed, exploitation, and inequality. And that's why it's not really surprising that a demon such as Mammon exists to remind us of human avarice. Mammon is a demon who appears in Christian and Jewish demonology. His name comes from the Aramaic language, Mammona, which can be roughly translated to wealth or profit. He finds its roots in the New Testament of the Bible, where his name first appears in Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, in the book of Matthew, and again in the Gospel of Luke. Here's what it says: "No man can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and Mammon." It's very clear from this simple passage that Mammon is somehow portrayed as the complete antithesis of God, the evil to the good. He's a demon whose role is to make human beings deviate from the righteous path and force them to give themselves up to the vice of money and material possessions. He's an idol or false god that can tempt individuals away from true faith and values.
The tax cuts they were going to do was going to be for the middle class, not for the rich. No, of course not. In fact, he had told CBS News, the rich will not be gaining at all with this plan. We are looking for the middle class and we are looking for jobs. Jobs being the economy, okay? So now he actually said that's someone else. CBS News is reporting it right now, but that was back in the fall, and that's a quote that a lot of people have shared, obviously. And he was bragging about this is not for the rich. They will not be gaining at all. You just saw it in the quote. Okay, so CBS News now with a new report saying President Trump kicked off his holiday weekend at Mar-a-Lago Friday night at a dinner where he told friends, quote, "You all just got a lot richer," referencing the sweeping tax overhaul he signed into law hours earlier. What happened? I thought the rich weren't going to be gaining at all. That, by the way, that is reported by people who were attending that dinner at Mar-a-Lago. So, no, Donald Trump's a liar and the tax cuts were always for the rich? Color me surprised. Yes, in fact, behind closed doors, as soon as he gets to his private properties that cost a tremendous amount of money to be a member of, he tells his rich friends, don't worry, I delivered for you. In fact, to give more context on that, CBS News said the president has spent many weekends of his presidency so far at the quote unquote winter White House, as he calls it, where initiation fees cost $200,000, annual dues cost $14,000, and some of the most affluent members of society have the opportunity to interact with the president in a setting while many Americans cannot. So there's no excuse that, well, I went to Mar-a-Lago and talked to the middle class. Do a lot of people in the middle class have $200,000 to throw away so they could have fancy dinners with their other rich friends, let alone the $14,000 a year on top of that, let alone all the things that cost money inside that club, which I'm sure is outrageously expensive? No, his real friends are the rich, and he just delivered for them, and he couldn't help himself because he's Donald Trump. So he bragged to them, hey guys, how did I do? I got you all the money. I took it from the middle class and I gave it to you. Did I do a good job? And remember when I lied to them and I said I'd be doing it for them? Wasn't that funny? By the year 2027, according to this law, 53% of Americans will be paying more in taxes, not less. Let alone the damage to the economy, let alone the redistribution of wealth overall, let alone the cuts that'll have to come against Social Security and Medicare, which now the Republicans and Paul Ryan are bragging about. Cuts are coming next. Put all that aside, you're going to be paying higher taxes by 2027. Why? Because the rich needed more taxes on top. By the way, that 53% is not the rich. It's coming from the poor and the middle class. Your taxes are going to get raised. Where is the money going? Well, let's take a look. According to Tax Policy Center, which is nonpartisan, 82.8% of the bill's benefit would go to the top 1%. So when he goes to Mar-a-Lago and shouts from the rooftops that his rich friends can celebrate Christmas because he just got them a huge tax cut, he's right. 83% of the money from that tax cut is going to go to the top 1% who doesn't need it at all. And it's also going to go to corporations, which is going to funnel it to their executives, who are almost all also in the top 1%. And they pretended that it was for you. What a sad, sad joke. It's the greatest robbery in American history. And Trump is almost literally laughing all the way to the bank, at least laughing all the way to Mar-a-Lago. You just watched the video by the Young Turks, home of the revolution. If you'd like to get a lot more than that, get the full show by becoming a member. TYTnetwork.com/join.